Hi, my name is Lou. Welcome to the Easter special of Pathways of Hope entitled Dwelt Among Us. Today is Black Saturday, and I would like to share with you my reflection on a word from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 16, verses 1 to 7. An object figures quite prominently in verses 3 and 4. That is, a stone. As the women approached the tomb of Jesus, they asked, "Who will roll away the stone for us from the entrance of the tomb?" Even if there were 3 of them, they did not think they would be able to do it themselves. Verse 4 tells us why. The stone was very large. The seemingly obscure object is mentioned quite a lot in scriptures. Stones have been used as weapons, think David and Goliath. They have stood witness to vows and covenants and have been made into altars. The 10 Commandments were carved on stone tablets. Stones were the main materials for walls, buildings, even the temple. Stoning was a means to inflict death, reserved for the worst sinners, like the woman caught in adultery or a perceived blasphemer named Stephen. But without an outside force working on them, stones are lifeless. Pharaoh's army, when they were pursuing the Israelites, were swallowed by the sea and were described as having sunk to the depths like a stone, without resistance, unable to help themselves. The prophet Ezekiel speaks about a heart of stone, a heart that is hardened and unresponsive. Someone with a heart of stone is often described as cold and remorseless, unfeeling and impenetrable. Such was the intention of the stone placed to guard the tomb of Jesus. It was to prevent unauthorized entry into the tomb, to stave off access to Jesus' body. The officials during that time did all they could to keep the body of Jesus from being stolen, especially by his followers who they believed could then falsely claim Jesus rose from the dead. They thought a large stone could do the job. Like that stone, many things can prevent us from knowing we can have access to and have a personal relationship with Jesus and enter into a life with God. It could be a heart hardened by sin, loss, grief, difficult circumstances, trials, and tribulations. I experienced deep personal pain when my beloved sister passed away a year ago. There were days I was tempted to just curl up in despair and stop moving, much like a stone. Many of us may be ridden with guilt, shame, despair, hopelessness, unforgiveness, anger, doubts, and unbelief, that we do not think God could have a place in our hearts. And so we can allow this stone and that stone to stay in our lives, keeping us from coming before God. If we are not careful, the stones could be set firmly in place, immovable, lifeless, permanent. Like the women thought the stone guarding the tomb was that day after the Sabbath. They thought they had no chance of coming into the tomb. They were hopeless. But like the authorities, they did not count on the fact that even a stone weighing thousands of pounds cannot withstand the power of God. Even before they arrived, the way had been paved, the door opened. They found the stone already rolled back. God's grace was ahead of them. The rolled stone in the gospel is an invitation for us to allow God to come into our lives. And like the women, we no longer need to ask, who will roll the stone away for us? God has taken the initiative by his love and mercy and shows us he has the power to remove anything that can keep us away from him. But we need to allow him to. Unlike the stone, he is powerless against an outside force. We can, by our will, choose to allow God into our lives or not. Revelations chapter 3 verse 20 says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and dine with him and he with me." We are invited to open the door and let Jesus in. It was when I asked the Lord to be with me in my deepest pain, when I opened the door of my heart, that my healing began. enabling me to continue serving Him and living my life, fulfilling my commitments and responsibilities. God can replace a heart of stone with a heart of flesh, malleable, empowered by the Holy Spirit, able to walk in the ways of God as He promised through the prophet Ezekiel. Christ, the one who can roll the stone away, is also described as a stone. He is the cornerstone referred to in Mark chapter 12, verse 10, where it states, quoting Psalm 118, "The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone." A cornerstone is the foundation in a construction, and all other stones are set in reference to it. It is only in and through Jesus that we find life, direction, and meaning. He walked where we walk. He dwelt among us and thus knows us intimately. It is by the power of His Holy Spirit that the stones of our life can be rolled away. Is there anything in your life right now that is keeping you away from God? Pray and ask the Lord to enlighten you. Jesus is knocking at the door of your heart. Open the door and allow Him to roll that stone away, and then you can experience the power of the resurrection. God bless you.